Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live show with me, Peter Driver, here from Pescari Fly. We're in Thomastown, and it's Christmas time. I want to wish everybody a massive happy Christmas. I hope you all had a great Christmas, and I really want to be very sincere in saying this. I wish you all a very good, healthy, and happy 2022, which is coming along shortly, and hopefully, hard to tell, but hopefully it'll be a bit better than 2021. Big hi to everybody. Robbie's on with us there. Dylan Roberts from the Welsh D. Great to have you on with us there. Dylan, Jim Myler's on there. James Hope. Alan's on there with us. Liam Long. Graham Lanigan. How you doing, Graham? Had a great Christmas. Thanks, Graham. Robert Flaherty's on there. Brennan Doolin. Bill Flaherty. Good to have you on with us there, Bill. Paul Burke. Thomas Ankertel. Happy Christmas to yourself too, sir. And everybody indeed. Kieran Sherlock's. Ken Dunn. I hope you're all well. Ricky Croak is on there. Christoph is on. Great to see so many people on. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, got over it well, is enjoying a bit of downtime. I know I did over the last couple of days. I was over in County Clare in Deirdre's home place. And how you doing, John Ferrand? Patrick Burke was on with us. Tony Rooney. How you doing, Tony? How's everyone up the north? Over in County Clare there for the last few days. How you doing, Brian? Thanks a million, Brian. Dave Porter, how you doing, Dave? Over in County Clare, they're doing a little bit of farming for the last couple of days with Deirdre's brother, and it was absolutely fabulous. Beautiful weather. How you doing, Pat Kennedy? Yeah, we had a great Christmas in County Clare. Thanks very much. How you doing, Martin Corcoran? Jean Luke is on with us there as well. Great to see so many people back on. What a show we have for tonight, folks. We got a massive show for tonight. Great show lined up. Going to really kick back and enjoy this one. We're going to be on here. You're doing Dalty, Jerry Morgan is on with us there. Jamie Conway, Norman Wells from the Bahamas. How you doing, everybody? We got a great show lined up. A little bit of a longer one tonight, but no one should have to work tomorrow, really. So we got a couple of cracking flies to tie for you tonight. We got a caddis nymph here that I really want to do for you, something I haven't done before in videos or even photographs. So how you doing, Darius, David Hannaford, and Dominic is on there with us as well. Caddis, that's coming up in a little while. Caddis grub, really lovely pattern to have. I got a lock style sage coming up. An awful lot of people have been asking me over the last couple of weeks about paired wings and stuff like that, and a few people have been struggling with it. So I said I'd do that technique tonight, but this is something just a little bit different than I've ever done before. So these are really, for the lock guys, you're going to love that one. We're going to kick it off with a wolf, though. Okay, and I'm going to talk about that wolf now in a minute. I'm just going to get through my little list of notes that I have here. I have to write notes now at the shows to start to remind me of everything's going on, so give you some kind of an idea of what's going on. So normally once a year we do a kind of a Christmas special where we really, give away a few bits, and we're very lucky here to be in Thomastown and have a partnership with Mount Juliet Estate, and Mount Juliet have kindly, as same as did last year, given us a year's free membership for some lucky viewer tonight. Will win a free year-long membership to their fishing club. Okay, valued at a couple of €100. Massive thanks to Dan O'Neill, the fishery manager, and all in Mount Juliet. Fabulous estate. Brilliant fishing down there. So that's going to head out the door some stage. Going to give you more details that in a second. We got tons of spot prizes here for tonight. So Dave is going to be along as usual with a trivia. And we're going to find other ways to give people spot prizes. Just a little bit of a give back and say thanks from everyone here at Pescari Fly and me personally. We really thank you all for all your support and everything you do for us here. We got lots of guests on tonight as well. So we've got, you see me put a post on Facebook earlier on. Terry Phillips from the England international team is on with us tonight. And he's tying a caddis fly as well, a caddis nymph. Now, I'm telling you, I've never seen that like this before. And you have not seen that like this before. Absolutely outstanding. Innovative fly tying at its best. Don't want to miss that. That's coming along later on. Terry's also going to be talking a little bit about the importance of tip of diameter and stuff like that with us, and a little bit of tackle talk. But then we got another pair of guests coming on to us, something that was really special to me, and I've been holding this one back for a really good night. And everyone knows me quite well, and the way I talk. I'm very passionate about fly fishing, about how much it is part of our lives. It's not just about competitive fly fishing for me. There's a whole other side of fly fishing there. It becomes a part of your life. Fly tying it. You live, eat, and breathe it, since the day I was born, I've been doing that. And I was lucky enough to spend an hour or so with a couple during the year who kindly agreed to sit down and have a little bit of an interview with us and share their life experience. An elderly couple, they shared their life experience of fly fishing, and holy moly, it's something else to listen to. Okay, these two wonderful couple, Bessie and Michael Hayes, they're going to sit down with us a little bit later on and share their life experience. that they've had in fly fishing around the globe and all sorts of things. So really very passionate about that. Really looking forward to sharing that interview with you guys and give you an insight into that, to spread that whole ethos about, fly fishing is life. It's, it's not about competitors with sharing, it's about experiencing. I suppose the word I'm really looking for, how we experience fly fishing, how this couple in all the years of their lives have managed to do that for most of it. So that's coming along a little bit as well. We got giveaways. We want, just before we start, I want to say a massive thanks to everyone who helps out on the show. It's our Christmas special. So massive thanks to all our special guests that have been along with us so far. I'm not going to name these all. We'll do that in March when we finish up. Massive thanks to all our special guests. To Colin Mullally and Josh Walker are two IT guys that give us a hand out with the little videos and helps me with little clips and stuff like that. And people I pick their brains on constantly about how to improve the show and stream and stuff like that. So massive thanks to them. And of course, the one and only, our trivia quizmaster, Mr. David O'Donovan. Dave has always been my bouncing. I'm always ringing Dave after the show. What did you think? How can we improve? I ring him before the show. Have you got a question? What's the question? And blah, blah, blah. I'm always saying, geez, try and make it a bit easy on Graham this week. But we'll see. Maybe tonight, Graham, could be your night. Only kidding. So massive thanks, but most of all, massive thanks to everybody that comes on, watches the show, sends me the feedback during the week. It's that kind of stuff that, really drives me on to keep going week to week and come up with something new for you every week and stuff. And it's not just coming stuff up with stuff out of my head. I'm really spending time thinking about researching flies and stuff like that to give you practical patterns, practical tips that'll help you along in your fly fishing. So thanks to everybody for their contribution. So anyway, hi to all our YouTubers tomorrow. As well, this will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and we'll kick off. Okay, so we're going to kick off with a wolf. Okay, so this is a wolf that was kindly sent to me, a picture sent to me by Graham Lonigan. Graham tied this wolf there a couple of weeks back, or a couple of months. He tied it during early part of the season, I think, or last season, and he got a couple of cracking fish off it throughout the entire year on several western lakes and up in Sheila and a place like that. And he kindly shared it. And he said, if I ever want, and I messaged him back straight away and said, oh wow, what a beautiful. How you doing, Damien Quinn from Dennis Gould's on there, Lawrence Barkley. Great to have you on, Daniel from Canada. So Graham shared this wolf with me, a picture, and I said, oh my God, it just really just flashed off the picture to me, like, how you doing, Pascal King? Hope you're keeping well. And he said to me, look, if you ever wanted to tie it on one of your shows, I'd appreciate it. So geez, fantastic. I'm going to save it for a special night. So I'm going to tie that wolf. I've never tied it before, and I purposely didn't practice this one because I want to also explain to some people who have been asking me questions, about breaking down complicated patterns, how we do it step by step and stuff like that. So I want to talk a little bit about that while we're actually doing this fly that how we break down a pattern that we haven't necessarily tied before. We're given a picture, we see it in a book, break it down step by step, so we wanted that. But by the way, folks, in order to win this Mount Juliet voucher, just before we start, how you doing, Gary McKiernan and Jared Lennon's on? In order to win this fantastic voucher, all you got to do is hit the share button, share the stream, comment, tag two buddies, send in a comment or tag two buddies, like the stream and share it. Okay, so share the stream, tag two buddies and hit a like. Okay, Deirdre's driver's on there, the wife is on there, wishing everybody happy Christmas and happy New Year's. Same to yourself, honey. She puts up with a lot, in all fairness, guys. So fair play to the wife. She does. She puts up quite a bit. So thanks a million there. She's on there. How you doing? Keen is all right. How you doing? So I'll remind you all throughout the show. Hit the share button on the stream and tag two buddies, and you're in the draw for that. The draw, I will allow the YouTubers into that tomorrow as well, folks. So if you're on YouTube tomorrow, you can like and share the stream. And the draw for that will be made. What day is today, folks? Someone remind me. I don't even know what day it is. How you doing, Patrick McCarthy? I use Grizzle or Genetic. Mark Williams is on there from Wales. How you doing, Mark? I hope you're keeping well and you had a good Christmas. What day is today? Someone give me I don't even know what day it is anymore. Someone give me that. I'll let that Mount Juliet thing go for about 2 days just to give the YouTubers a chance. So it'll be the day after tomorrow. That I will do the draw for that. It's a special prize and we want to see someone really get that. So we got tons of spot prizes to give away tonight. So we'll get through a lot tonight. And I say Dave is going to be on in a little while there. Now, so down to some fly time. And of course, if anybody's got any comments or questions or anything like that, please do fire them across. I'll do my best to get to them. So what I've got there in the voice is a B830 Camazan, size 10. It's a long shank, size 10. Now, when I spoke to Graham on this particular fly, he was recommending a B400 size 12. Okay, I just don't have them. Okay, so I decided to do this on a one of my more popular that requested wolf patterns. Okay, for the tail, it is dyed yellow. Hi, John Bird. John Bird is on there. Dyed yellow squirrel. And I'm going to give that, just teasing it out there, getting rid of some of that down stuff. We're going to give it a little bit of a stack. Today's the 30th, Dennis. Yeah, it's the little bit of stack. Graham Walsh, Kevin Reid, how you doing? A little bit of a stack there, just to get those tips all lined up. So when I'm looking at a new pattern that I haven't tied before, you know, you're trying to not just match the colours as such, but I'm always trying to match the kind of profile of the fly. There's lots of considerations there you got to make for tying a fly that you haven't tied before. And often in my case, what the problem is, people send me flies or they take photographs. And Graham's photograph was like good, so I'm not saying anything about your Graham. Good man, Donald. Well, put it in there. How you doing, Alison? Alan's on from South Africa. Alison, I hope you're keeping well. So I'm always trying to, you know, decipher that fly a little bit. Sometimes it's a bit more complicated than just seeing the picture, because the picture mightn't be great. More than likely, the fly has been fished with, caught a couple of trout, and it's torn to bits. So I often get people to post the fly to me to really dissect it and have a good look to get to. But one of the most important things I would start looking at straight away. Thanks, John. We did, and I hope you and all the lads down there had a good Christmas too. Would be kind of the profile of the fly, and that really stands out to me. And something that stood out in this fly to me, and I asked Graham about, was the length of the tail. It has quite a long tail, and this is basically to represent an emerging mayfly. So that tail will represent a shuck. Now, Graham, if I'm not doing your fly any justice, please feel free to come in and correct me at any stage. Okay, so we're trapping that in there. And as you can see, quite a long tail. A little bit bushy, but when that actually gets wet, and it's something I noticed about Graham's fly was, there was quite a bit of density to that tail. They go one or two little bits, maybe a bit too much, but it had quite a bit of a density to that tail. Now, tying in squirrel in the tail is not as hard as tying it in the wing, but nonetheless, there is a few things we have to be aware of. Okay, is that squirrel does pull out the back quite easy. Okay, it's not like deer hair, it doesn't crunch down. So we put a little bit of zappa gap there in that tail, just up there in where the body, and that's way too much. So I'm gonna have to actually get something before that bubble slides down into my thread bobbin, and it means I don't have a thread bobbin in a few seconds. Hi Desmond. Desmond Paul is on with us there as well. Hope you had a good Christmas, Desmond. So lash that in there. Make sure that tail is well secure. Now, okay, a little bit of copper gold wire here, should I say fine gold wire. Dave is going to be along in a little bit with our trivia. We got lots of different spot prizes to give out tonight, folks. We have fly lines, amberdew patches, we have little gift bags, lots of stuff like that. So along the show, we're going to be here for, well, I would say the next 2 hours anyway, folks. We're going to be along here for the next 2 hours and have a little bit of fun and a bit of chat. So stick with us. We got some great patterns, some great guests coming on tonight. So you really don't want to miss that Terry Phillips. Caddis that's coming along. Of course, you can follow Terry on his YouTube channel. He's a fantastic YouTube channel there. Now, what we're doing now is adding in 3 peacock herl. And we're going to take that up 1/3 of the body. Now, I should have had, and any good fly tierers are sitting at home right now, thinking, why didn't he tie in the wolf wings first? That's just me not being perfect. I'm going to tie them in now. And if you are kicking tables saying, I can't believe you didn't tie the wolf wings first, you would be right. I should have tied them in first. But nobody's perfect this game. We take our fine copper wire and we rib up that first section. Tie it off. And break that away. Thanks, Josh. Hi, James. James Johnson's on with us there. Now, I'm going to go back up here. Lucky enough, it's a long shank. We've lots of room to do it. And we're going to take a bit of calf tail here. And we are going to tie in our wolf wings. If I wasn't working on a long shank, I would be going back. We're probably just going to a no hook. Let's give them a little bit of a stack. Of course, a lot of people that would have known something I actually meant to mention at the very start, and I just spotted and noted it here. We lost a good friend here day before Christmas Eve. Tony O'Regan was a very good friend of us here in Pescari Fly, great follower, always came down and fished with us here, and a lot of people would know him from, he would always watch the show, share the shows and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Tony passed away just before Christmas. Deepest condolences to all friends and family. But yeah, very sad. Lovely gentleman. Avid fly fisher. And so now once I've stacked them up a bit, not the best, as you can see, a little bit of a curve on them, but okay. Trim them back at an angle, just those waist ends. It'll help us with the body and go to prepare the body up that. Dash them in well, a little bit of zap gap there. Thanks, Jonathan. Good to have you on there. How you doing, Bernard Mannion? Good to have you on. Another little bit of zap gap there just to keep the whole thing going good. Hope everyone's having a great Christmas and really enjoying it. I'm just going to split them up there now and get them ready before I proceed on with the next segment of this fly. Figure a way through, and they're okay there now for a minute. Back down. Thanks, Graham. Great to have you on. Great to see so many people on. Hope everyone's had a good Christmas, and looking forward to something hopefully a bit better New Year. Now we're going to go for our midsection of the body here. Glow bright number 2, nice bright pink. This is what really caught my eye at the very start of this fly. No rib going through the glow bright. That's why I've finished the bottom half, ribbed it, and I'm going to add in a nice pink. Hot spot in the middle of that. Build it up a little bit so it comes up around where we've finished off, and then just repeat the process of the first part of your fly, which is Kevlar in first. Go to our fine gold wire, and then add in 3 strands of peacock. Hope everyone's sitting back relaxing, enjoying a nice cold beer, warm cup of tea, or maybe even a hot one tonight. Bring that up there. We'll finish it off. I myself am having a nice cool beer here. Same to yourself, Joe. Joe Trill is on with us there. Good to have you on with us, Joe. Take our wire rib up the body as well. Securing. So generally we have the 3. So when I'm breaking down a fly like that, you know, you break it down section by section by section. Just build a fly. Don't look at the fly as a whole, because sometimes, especially some lock flies or salmon flies, they become very daunting when you look at them as a whole and go, Jesus, there are 15 to 20 components in that fly. Robert, not me personally, but Graham has he's a bit softer. Graham is the tire of this one, and this is the particular pattern of why he ties. But most times I will use the calf. Now what I'm selecting here is a golden olive, carob golden olive hackle here. I'm just going to see what sort of size I have. I think it'll be okay for size 10. We're going to add that in there. Secure them well. Take away our waste. And then I'm going to start winding that hackle up the body. Up the remaining part of the underbody, should say. That's make sure it's well packed in behind the wings, and then I like to pull those wings forward, me personally, and get 1 or 2 turns in it up there too, just to help support those wings into position. On the trade, put some pressure on the trade, get in along there, and you want those wings slightly kicking forward, as you can see. Come on, Jamie. Same to yourself, Betty. Same to yourself, Michael. Of course, Betty and Michael are going to be joining us here in a little while, folks, with probably one of the nicest interviews I could have sat for hours, literally hours, listening to them tell me their stories and their life's travels. But a bit of a whip finish on that one. Just stroking back all those hackles to get in up there at the eye. Lock it back in with that Kevlar squeeze. You can really put some pressure on it. Slide it, scissors in and just nick it off. What do you reckon, Graham? I'll let back that picture just a little bit, just to give you a kind of a spectrum of that fly. Not completely finished yet, but thanks, Sharon. But then a very, very attractive fly. Beautiful looking fly. Graham had a bit of scissors work done underneath, so it sits down into the surface film. So you trim off all those bottom hackles. Sits nicely down into the surface, but don't trim them off completely back up into the underbody, but just enough to allow that fly to sit down into the film a little bit. And you can see then when that tail gets wet, it thins out a little bit. And there we have it. How you doing, Kevin? He was from Blessington in County Wicklow, Kevin Maher. He was from Blessington in County Wicklow. Fished all over the country, lakes and rivers. Yeah. But there we have it, folks. Huge thanks to Graham Lonigan for sharing that pattern with us and allowing us to tie it on the show. When I saw that whole pink, it just really jumped out at me. Beautiful tie-in. And thanks a million to Graham for sharing that one with us. So there we have it, folks. We've kicked off on our special tonight, and our first fly is done. Those flies are going into the pot, and whoever wins the Mount Julia voucher will also win those prizes, or will also win those flies. So when I do the draw for Mount Julia voucher in 2 days, I will include the flies in those from tonight as well, and any flies that were used or tied up in practice prior to the thank you, Jamie, prior to the doing the show. So let's move on to our next segment, okay? I mentioned that we had 2 very special people in with us here during the summer months. They stopped down in Thomastown for a few days, and they kindly came up and had a cup of tea, and I had asked them would they be interested in doing a little bit of an interview. They have a very interesting story. I knew it was interesting time, but I had no idea to the extent of the story. And it's something that I've really been dying to share, which is because it's not just about competitive fly fishing, fly tying, it's about fly fishing and the fraternity of fly fishing. How you doing, Darren Fency? How you doing, Gavin Howard? Steve Barber's on with us there as well. How you doing, Steve? It's about the fraternity of fly fishing, the ethos of fly fishing, the way, you know, the romanticism, the passion that we have, or a lot of people do have about fly fishing, fly tying, how it becomes such an important part or factor of their life. And definitely these 2 people really take that to the next level. I could listen for hours. So Michael and Betty Hayes came in and decided to share a little bit of an interview and just a conversation, and it was fantastic. So there's no intro to this one, folks. It's not a tackle talk. There's not a tackle talk or anything like that. It's just a conversation with 2 lovely people. So sit back for the next few minutes and enjoy. I'm going to find it here now. Here we go. Enjoy just a little bit of a conversation that we had with Betty and Michael, and I'll see you all in a few minutes. Yeah, perfect. So, Michael and Bessie, you're very welcome.
Thanks.
Very welcome to Thomastown and my little fly fishing stall here, where I spend most of my time. So I suppose a huge thanks to these guys for coming and sitting down with us today and just having a bit of a chat. And I suppose, as I said when we were chatting beforehand, you know, it's a story about you guys and your experiences, and I know personally I'd love to hear it. I've heard your names being mentioned in lots of circles over the years and reading the bits and clips, little bits and pieces along the way, and just knowing that story a bit more,
Sure.
you know, would be lovely. So I suppose one thing, where did it all start for you? Where did it all begin?
Well, Betty's the starter, really, because she's from
I come from a family where my mother was one of the best salmon anglers around when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And my dad was a really very good fisherman, always was.
Where were they
There
fishing?
was in a little place in Cara in County Kildare, which is a little village.
Yeah.
Which now is almost a city. But
Right.
that time it was a little village. And I still remember on a Sunday morning, Dad also was one of the founder members of the North Kildare Anglers Association.
Oh, okay.
So the association was young, but anyone who ever wanted to fish or to learn to fish from Dublin, they got Dad's name. So they'd be all down on a Sunday morning.
Right.
And I still remember them. There was one fly that they could tie, and they all tied the fly in our kitchen.
Go ahead.
And went fishing down the Liffey.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my longest memories of fishing.
Right.
And then my mum would pick up my brother and myself from school and put us up on the bike and bring us down to Cara Bridge to get some trout for the tea.
Right.
So
Fabulous.
that's a long time ago, Peter.
So it's been in the blood since the day you were
Great
born.
memories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they sure are. Absolutely, yeah. How about you, Michael? Where did you kick it all off for?
Well,
Was it
I
similar?
was, well, except that I didn't have the treasure of having my mum and dad behind me in the fishing business, Peter. Did a lot of fishing down in Limerick, but it was more sort of coarse fishing with one of my uncles and so on. The trout fishing started, I suppose, when I was doing messages for a hardware shop in Newbridge.
Right.
Mr. Breen. And Mr. Breen would give me not money for running messages for him, but he'd give me fishing flies.
Go ahead.
At that stage, were tied onto a little extended piece of gut, as you can remember.
Yeah.
And they then got tied onto a very artificially made fishing rod and so on. And small sprats were caught initially, and then they became little trout and sort of grew on from there. And then as we sort of grew a bit, we sort of met each other, and we found other things that we were sharing, but the fishing was very common for us both.
And how did the meet up? How did that all come about? How did you guys meet up?
Well, I suppose the bus is responsible.
Right.
We got the same bus at 8 o'clock in the morning. He went from Newbridge and I went from near Naas.
Right.
And when we got on the bus, sometimes we started to say hello to one another, and eventually, I suppose he kept a seat for me when I was coming home from Dublin, and I was at the Grafton Academy studying dress design.
Lovely.
And Mike was at college in UCD studying engineering. And I suppose we tried occasionally to get the same bus, and it went on from there, Peter.
Right. Very
Went
good.
on for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, there was lots of times in between when we probably didn't. He went off on holiday, went off to work elsewhere, and we eventually married and went to live in Scotland.
Oh, lovely. How long was you in Scotland for?
We were in Scotland for 3 years.
3 years, I think,
3 years.
Yeah, I went for a postgraduate engineering scholarship, I suppose, with a very well-established company, that's the Imperial Chemical Industries, ICI, who, interestingly, in Scotland, their main products were commercial explosives. It was called Nobel Division because Nobel Explosives was one of the 3 companies that brought ICI together.
Right.
So there was always some slight concern if Irish men of national aspirations were involved.
Working in an explosive company.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But it worked well. And we fished a bit in Scotland, but at that stage we were just in the Ayrshire area.
Right.
And
we really wanted to come back to Ireland because we'd had a little girl already.
Okay.
And we wanted to relocate back.
Mm-hmm.
But the little story that I you have mentioned is that when we had a second, we came back to live in New Ross,
Right.
where he was with Albatross Fertilizers, where he was the manager in Albatross at the time. And in New Ross, we had a little girl, and she was born in Airmount Hospital in Waterford. And my mum and dad wanted to come down and see the new baby. There was no sign of them coming. I was home with the baby, no sign of them coming. In the evening, they came all right. But instead of coming down to me, they went to fish on the River Nore. And they brought two salmon for the little girl.
For their new granddaughter.
Brilliant.
So, all those things stick in my memory a bit.
Great having those memories, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And of course, you obviously must have lots of memories. Like Scotland wasn't the only place you guys have lived or travelled to.
We've lived in 28 homes since we
28?
Well, homes, not
my
countries,
That doesn't mean we've owned them all.
Gosh.
We moved around a lot.
Wow.
We lived in several different countries.
So what kind of countries have you guys experienced, lived in and fished in? Is it all over the world?
One of the places we lived, which I enjoyed most, was the Bahamas, where we lived there for 4 years, and the children went to school there.
Yeah.
And we went back there as often as we could afterwards.
And of course, you fished in all these places. These obviously
sure.
have fishing experiences in all these places.
So we had a boat down there.
When's the book coming out? Who's going to write the book? Michael or Bessie?
Well,
Who's going to write the book? Or is it already written and we're waiting for that big announcement someday that the Hayes is fishing adventures? My God, okay.
But
So,
we went to Key Biscayne in Florida,
Right.
Yeah.
And we lived there for a while, and we fished on the Florida Keys.
Amazing.
So we went other places in after that.
Yeah, but the Bahamas came back to us in other times as well. I ended up down there. Aer Lingus, the Irish airline at that stage, was spreading its commercial activities.
Right.
And one of them was to try and help airlines in developing countries to kind of get up to speed and into a competitive stance against the British Airways and whatever.
Yeah.
So I was given the chance to be chief executive of Bahamas Air for 4 years, I suppose, 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And it was very interesting and excellent from the job point of view, but we got a lot of fishing down there as well.
Fishing must have been amazing down there.
Fishing was great down there.
Yeah.
We've been back so many times.
Yeah, we've gone back a number of times since then. One of the, well, if you think, a long gap from being there as a family and doing that particular job, but I'm not sure if you can remember Peter Mantle, who had the fishery
in Abaco.
Well, yes, but I'm thinking of the Irish.
Delphi,
in Delphi
Right.
Lodge. Peter, who had Delphi Lodge down in the west of Ireland, eventually, about 8 or 9 years ago, kind of sold off that business, moved to Abaco in the Bahamas, and set up a new lodge down there, primarily for bonefish, down there.
Wow.
And we went back to the Bahamas because Peter was a good friend as well as everything else, and we visited down there. I don't know, fairly often every other year.
We went to the other fisheries too, besides that.
Right.
Down there.
And worked the trip.
Very worth the
very
trip.
nice.
Yeah, the bone fishing is fabulous. It's sight fishing, as
Yes,
you
of course,
know, and great casting demands on you. And of course, if what you really need there is a really excellent guide who's standing up on the pinnacle.
The perch. Yeah.
He's yelling, 20 feet left, quarter left.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Have you bonefish?
No, not bonefish. I've done some saltwater trips to Maldives and Dominican Republic and a few other places, but never targeted bone. It's on the list. Las Rocos is on my big target list now, next 2 years probably.
Yeah.
So where else then? Bahamas,
Iceland,
Scotland, Iceland,
Mexico,
yeah,
Bali,
Russia.
Russia.
So was it your work that brought you to all these places, or was it just a love for travelling and experiencing, fishing?
Holidays.
Well, a lot of it was holidays once we got to a certain stage of life.
Right.
As I say, the early Bahamas thing was work that got us there as well. But been to Iceland a couple of times, fly fishing. But
I didn't go to Iceland.
Yeah,
I'm not that much into salmon fishing.
mainly with a group of buddies.
Yeah.
That, we went there and all caught some nice fish there, but not big numbers. I mean, they're not that easy. And,
so I believe,
I was also we were in Russia a couple of times together, but I just went fishing once up in the Kola Peninsula, and we got, there was 4 of us, 4 friends of ours, some of the people you know, Dennis Daly and
Yeah.
Tony, of course.
Tony.
Tony, yeah.
And the other one that you mightn't know so much is Jimmy Keogh.
No.
Well, Jimmy is one of the great salmon fishers of Ireland in many ways,
Yeah, that's
and
great guy.
the four of us went to a very remote sort of camp. We were brought up. We flew to whatever city it was, and brought by helicopter up the next morning, dropped off, and then the helicopter stayed away for a week, and we kind of.
The most remote of places.
That sounds like paradise to me. That
Well,
sounds
it
like
was.
paradise.
As long as you were well protected and
Yeah.
well equipped, so to speak, and we each caught some nice salmon. I think about 3 or 4 or 5 salmon each, but the one to remember was one that Jimmy caught, and Jimmy's fish, of course, it was catch and release on the Okanga River, and our best estimate was probably about 34 or 35 pounds weight. It was a magnificent fish, and I have sentimental value to it because I tied the cascade fly that Jimmy
good.
got, but he did the hard work. I'm somewhere in the background.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Good
We
fly,
fished
yeah.
in for Cabo San Lucas for Spanish mackerel.
Right.
And it wasn't Spanish mackerel.
Yeah, and we were looking for marlins, but we didn't really succeed with
Mexico
them.
and Bali for the same.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right. Yahoos.
Bali
and
was
things,
fishing with the outriggers, and the men would, when you catch a hook fish, these small men would, in the middle of a wave, run out along the outrigger to bring the fish into the boat.
Yeah.
Big Spanish mackerel.
Yeah, it'd be big, powerful fish.
Very
like.
fast fish, yeah, very strong.
And of course, speaking of Spanish, you guys lived in Spain then for quite a bit as well, didn't you?
Did we were in Spain for a long bit?
15 years.
Yeah, both of, as I say, down in the south, and the fishing, as I say, there was primarily for the what's it called? Barbels. Yeah.
Right.
And barbel fishing was wonderful fishing because they're extremely strong fish. You have narrow rivers, a lot of vegetation and trees with roots sort of going into the water as
Right.
well. So you,
Plenty of places for them to.
Oh,
The
they
water would
demonstrate.
only probably be that high and
Right.
sparkling like silver
Yeah.
water, so clear. And when you get the barbel, that you take them in, if you hook them, they run like crazy, like a bonefish, really fast.
they're very good.
And you
Yeah.
get them back and you take them in, and you just turn them on their back in your hand, and they fall asleep.
Go away.
So you can gently take the hook out.
And what kind of flies are you using for the barbel?
Very,
Say, is
very
there something in
tiny.
specific, or would it be similar to trout flies?
It'd be similar to trout flies.
Flies? Nymphs?
No, more sort of sunk flies really, and
Okay.
nymphs and whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes floating ants now would be a big thing.
Yeah.
But they were basically, I mean, if you think of the barbel, they're basically bottom feeders anyway with their
Yes, of course, with the
overhang
down
wells
nose,
and
yeah,
barbel
yeah.
and so on. But they're fairly enthusiastic. They'll take a lot of things. So we'd be fishing with maybe a 6-weight rod or so. You'd really want a sort of heavy rod, and hopefully you'd be able to turn them when they ran.
Yeah.
And
Exciting fishing.
always fishing, catch and release, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they were lucky. They're lucky in one sense because they're wonderful fish, very handsome fish, we think. But I think from the gourmet point of view,
Right.
they're not so well regarded.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the local folks don't worry too much about knocking them on the head and bringing them home to the kitchen.
So there's
So-
still good stocks there.
There's good stocks.
Yeah.
The Barbo Gitano, the gypsy barbel is what
Right.
they're called. They're the
Not
same
like
family.
the barbel in the UK.
No,
Right. No, they're completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smaller fish that may be running. Well, they go up to 4.5 pounds, but I mean, 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds would be very good fish. You get tremendous run from them, and they're just a lot of fun. Yeah,
I think one of the types of fishing we got most hooked on, we used to go to the States, to Montana with Tony O'Regan, and
Right,
so
yeah.
the 4 of us used to go all the time to the States. We loved that. The wild rainbows, they were really special to
Yeah.
fish the wild rainbows.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago we went to Calgary as well,
Right.
fish on the Bow River,
Yeah.
both of us, and it was great. We love fishing for
Jeez,
the wild
sounds like you
rainbows.
have novels of fishing experience there, guys. That should be well documented. I hope you will think
Well-
about it doing sometime. You haven't already talked about. I was an avid fly fisher, reading stories and memoirs of people, travels and stuff like that. It's just something I always like to do, and it definitely would be something really worth worth your time and documenting. I must still say, moving a little bit away from the fly fishing, the fly tying, Michael. You know, you've travelled the world as well, tying flies at shows and exhibitions and things like that. We've seen some of your magnificent salmon flies there and stuff. Where did all that begin for you? Bodie was Betty, you're a fly tyer as well, so
Yeah.
where did the fly tying come into, or is that just a natural progression?
It's just a natural progression for me, Peter, because I think when I was about 16, I persuaded Santa Claus or my mum and dad to give me a very basic little advice from vineyards. And I kind of started myself. One of our teachers in Newbridge College, Lord Mercian, and now Matty Nolan, was very good. A very good teacher and a very good gentleman and a good fisherman. And he helped me a lot. And his particular focus at that stage was on John Donne flies, I think. Do you remember? It was
John Donne.
I think it was John Donne. Sunshine and the Dry Fly was the book, and it worked on the basis of sort of translucent threads.
Okay.
That when you oil them, they softened and the colour changed a bit. And the theory was that the trout looking up would see these particular flies against the sky, and of course would be mesmerised how good they were. So Matthew Nolan, as I say, Lord of Mercy, helped me a lot. And we just kind of went on from there and just tied green wells and basic stuff in for the Liffey and whatever. And eventually, of course, one started to collect and buy from supportive fly suppliers.
Yeah.
And I've got a number of fly vices now that they're quite outstanding ones, really.
Lawrence.
Yes, they're probably worth, they're well into four figures now. But they'll pass on to another generation, I hope, and they're well looked after.
They're there to be used.
They're to be used. I suppose one becomes, you go through fly tying with great intensity, with very fine differences and patterns and so on. You know a lot more about this than I do, but you kind of back off a little bit then and kind of reduce your extension, so to speak.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not sure if it makes you a more successful fisherman or not, but
and in the beginning, then, if you got invited to one fly fair, when I was fishing with at least I was the manager of the Lady Fly Fishers for 4 or 5 years.
That's right.
In the beginning, and I met a man called Ad Zweer. Michael was working in Amsterdam at the time. And Ad asked me would I go to the fair they were having to tie flies. I said something about Michael had already been talking to them.
Right.
So I went and tied my daddy longlegs and other flies that I like to tie there. And the thing is then, everybody you meet there, they all form a kind of a personal friendship thing.
Of course.
And every fair then, one after the other,
You
the
meet
name
up
goes
and
forward. So you get invited to tie at all the fairs. And even the first time in Ireland was they used to have a fly fair in North County Dublin, not a fly fair, but as a fishing fair, game fair.
Yeah.
And they had some fly tying at that. And that was the first time we both tied in Ireland.
sure.
When was that?
We've been tied.
When you're talking there, Betty?
Yeah,
How long ago was that? That's
20 something years.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've tied quite a few now around Europe, and
It's become big business now. There's lots more now.
yeah.
But
Do you still go to the shows? Do you still tie at any of the shows?
I don't.
Well, obviously not since
really.
COVID, but
No. No. I haven't tied now for a little while. We used to go over every year to the Galway fly tying fly fair, but haven't tied officially.
are you both self-taught in fly tying?
Sorry?
To a certain extent, both self-taught in fly tying to a certain extent, kind of just through books and.
Peter O'Reilly taught me too, of course.
That's
No
right.
better teacher.
Peter took me under his wing and
Yeah.
decided to show me how to tie flies properly. I knew Peter very well because my mum and dad were friends with Peter.
Okay,
So it's going back. An awful lot of people stem from when my mum and dad knew them because, as I say, Dad was.
He was the main.
Well, he was the president of the North Kildare Anglers for most of his life.
Right.
And then he was the president of the Leinster Committee of the ITFFA
And your dad, of course, was an international competitor too, Betty.
International before me, yes.
Yeah.
So it was through him I met an awful lot of people. And then, of course, when you start meeting people in the fishing world, when he did and I did, when there's two of you, you've twice the opportunities to fish with
Absolutely,
people.
yeah, absolutely.
And do things.
And you dipped your toes into competition fishing for a little bit, Betty, with the ladies, the national ladies team. You dipped your toes there for a few years. How long were you involved with the ladies?
Well, from 1993 to 1997, I was managing the team and the major fundraiser, because at that time it was expensive to go away. So I was able to raise enough money, and that was one of the reasons that they kept me, I think.
Right.
I raised enough money.
You had the charm to get the money.
Well, in fact, also I had some business connections as well, but it was one of those things that I could do it, and I did. In the first couple of years, the Irish team went overseas without having to pay a penny.
Wow, fantastic.
To raise that much money. I stayed that with 4 years, and then I fished internationally for 12 years.
Wow.
11, winning 11 medals, but 1 gold.
Amazing. That's the one.
2010.
Yes,
That's always the one. The one gold.
My 1 gold one. But
Betty, how long is the Irish Ladies Association in
1992.
Okay, 92.
And I first fished with them in 93. So it was started by a lady called Anne Geary from the Pontoon Bridge Hotel. God bless her, she's gone now.
Yeah.
But she was before her time, and that she really saw. She had a daughter who was very good angler.
Mary, was it?
Mary Geary. So she set up the International Lady Fly Fishers, the Irish Lady Fly Fishers. And at that time it was small. A small group of people.
It's growing all the time, and
well, it's never really got
too big.
Like, it's never got bigger than it was then.
Right.
Actually, I think there might be a few more members, but they come and go all the time.
Yeah,
sure.
You know, whereas at the beginning we didn't win very much, but in the UK, lady fly fishers have so many people to choose from.
Yeah.
I mean, one of their trials, they would attract more people than they'd have to be able to find boatmen for. And Scotland is almost the same, and Wales.
But we never got to that extent over here.
Sure.
You know,
Never.
no, it's not so often. Like even going back for as long as I've been fishing, you know, I could count on one hand how many Irish, say my age group, you know, like my generation, of how many small young girls, girls that are teenagers or in their 20s that actually are into fly fishing.
I think it's probably more difficult now because there's so many attractions for youngsters.
Well, that goes for boys and girls, of course.
I suppose, yes, indeed.
Well, I know when I was a member of the Eastern Region Fisheries Board for 12 years. My dad was 19 years on the board before me.
Okay, right.
But one of my things I really insisted on was trying to teach youngsters to fish. And I did a lot in that area, especially to get girls to fish. Yeah. And it's wonderful, you can get them to do it, but you get them to stay at it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know, it's the thing.
Yeah. But I mean, in the States, isn't it? That's still indeed.
Yeah.
Why we can't quite get the same intensity
this side of the Atlantic. You have people like Orbis at the back of you in the States.
That's the thing, you have to fund it.
We have the big guys.
But definitely one thing I've noticed over the course of the pandemic is the amount of young people that got into fishing over the course of the pandemic was huge. And even say parents that had some experience of fishing, but they had these next thing, all of a sudden they had these 7 to 12 to 14, 16, 18-year-olds stuck in the house with them. And of course, the one good thing about Ireland is there's more than likely a river or lake within 5 kilometres of your house.
Indeed.
So what are we going to do with the kids? We can't leave them on the computers all day, every day for the next 12 months. Get them out, come on, we'll go and buy some fishing gear, we'll bring fishing. So, you know, there was definitely an uptake on fishing for young people in Ireland over the last 2 years, so no question about it. What sort of fruits we'll see down the road, we won't know, but what a fantastic sport to introduce young people into.
In the Irish Fly Fair that time, they asked me to take on a spot of teaching children to tie flies, and that was great fun. I mean, we had pictures in the Irish Times and everything with the kids tying flies. It was excellent.
Fantastic.
Children's fingers are well designed, the right size.
Absolutely, perfect. Get in there,
My goodness, how good they are when they
some of the young
lads
are fantastic.
Very good.
Yeah, I was doing a few things with Taffy over the years, and we set up that All Ireland fly tying champion competition that time. And some of the flies those young men and women could produce.
Amazing.
Very high quality.
Yeah, you were kind of saying to them, "Would tie me a box of those, would you?" You know, they're fabulous fly tyers. Yeah. especially if any of them had kind of an artistic kind of tribute to them at all. You know, they'd be
Indeed.
very creative with what they could do. Like, you
You
know.
taught a daughter. You taught one of our daughters to.
Does your daughters fish?
Well, he tied just on the fly tying. He taught Karen to fish to tie flies one time. Karen is one of these girls. She can do most things, but when she turned out the salmon fly or whatever it was, he said, "I'm not going to tie flies anymore." One go, but she was. No, they don't. They don't fish.
They don't fish?
Not really, no.
No. Maybe in the future.
Perhaps. Well, they're sort of at career stages that are,
Right.
you know, make it more difficult to get the time and the effort to keep going.
Well, we have a creative artist, all right, which isn't I.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's the art director of Condé Nast, Vogue,
Right.
and as a girl and stuff. But she doesn't tie flies.
And you're still doing a bit. You're still throwing a cast here and there and
Oh, yeah.
everywhere whenever we get a chance and tying flies.
Well, if you go out and look in the back of the car now at the moment, so you can do a check on what's there.
In fact, we're hoping that next year we get to fish with you.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
It'd be a real pleasure to bring you down across some of the
I
waters.
have a rather nice necklace with lots of the things on it.
Oh,
which-
yeah.
Who did I get it from? I can't remember. Yourself.
Check on Peter Driver.
No, I haven't worn it out yet, Peter. Because,
You'll get the opportunity next year, Michael.
Got
The
it.
season's gone from snow, unfortunately, but sure.
Indeed it is,
There's
yeah.
another one on the way. It's never too far away.
Exactly.
So what's your favourite, if you were to choose, looking back on all the experiences, and I know I could sit here for hours asking questions about you, listening to stories about your travelling experiences around the world, like, it's amazing. But thinking back on it, what would be kind of some of your, or what would be the one most memorable fishing or fly fishing experience that you would have? What's the
I'd have
one
to
thing
choose
that stands
between-
out in mind? Or
I'd have to choose between two.
Yeah, well,
I
you
know.
know.
Montana, absolutely amazing.
because of the fishing, Betty, or the scenery, or
The rainbow trout fishing in
Right.
Montana, on the wild rivers towards the Rocky, looking up the Rockies, seeing those big trains. That was one of the
Spectacular.
best. And then, of course, bone fishing, where you're sitting on the front of a
Standing up the boat.
bow of the
Yeah.
boat,
scorching sunshine.
and in hot territory, and you have the fly in your hand, you're holding them up like this, and you're waiting for the word.
Right.
12
That
o'clock,
anticipation.
12 o'clock,
Yeah.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, cast, give me 50 feet.
Right.
Goodness, the excitement of that.
It must be pure
It's absolutely
adrenaline.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure which of those
They both sound pretty good.
experiences.
Pretty good. How about you, Michael? What would be kind of your fondest fishing experience, or?
You like a big salmon, don't you?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'm without bragging about it. We did a lot of fishing down in Delphi, and there's a 16.5 pound salmon on the wall down there, which has my name attached
A
to it.
taxidermist
Yeah.
fish.
Caught on a collie dog,
Right.
and if you look at Peter
O'Reilly's.
O'Reilly's books, he describes the collie dog. It's a very simple fly in some ways, but it's a very mobile sort of fly. And he very kindly mentions
That's right.
my success in using it for that particular fish. But that's a good memory. But I go right back to a very early stage when I was probably still a teenager in Newbridge College, and I got a 2.5 pound trout in the Liffey
Nice.
on, I think it was a blue bottle at the time, but it was a very poor rod. It was an old steel rod made from a tank aerial with a very simple reel on it, and I just remember catching this particular fish and bringing it home speechless to my mum and dad and showing it to them, you know. Got more fish, bigger fish, lots of fish since then, but sometimes at an early stage or a critical stage in your development, that's the one that
There's
rings
one
the bell.
moment.
Exactly,
There's
yeah.
one moment there, absolutely. I think if most fly anglers look back, and there is that moment of
Indeed.
you know, and I suppose you two guys, you know, you have lived, eaten, bred, fly fishing your entire lives,
We have really,
and what little bit of advice would you give to people that are taking it up, or young people that are watching, or parents that have children that are showing? I know I had a young man here recently with me a couple of weeks ago, and his dad and mom had no experience of fly fishing whatsoever, but for some reason their 12-year-old son cannot get it out of his head. And and they just can't fathom, and no grandparents, no nothing, no association of fly fishing in the family
That's the
whatsoever.
real thing.
And this kid is just day and night,
A
living,
born
eating,
fisherman.
breathing. And I was trying to explain to parents, I said, there's one of them born every 1,000 or every 10,000.
I know.
And they're born for one thing. So what bit of advice would you give people with all your vast experiences and things like that? What bit of advice would you just throw out there to aspiring anglers or already anglers that are doing the job or hitting the waters?
I suppose they should join the local club. That's
Very important
thing.
to support your local waters.
Yeah. And not just the support, that will generate some fellowship and some contact, and extra input and skills will come from there. So it's club membership, I think, is very worthwhile and very valuable. And that's what they should do. And
looks after our rivers, clubs look after our rivers, and then there's a community base there as well, that the angling community is more recognisable when there's more members.
And of course, when people get on a little bit further, and if they have a little financial resources available to them, in so many sports, people pay big money for training or for tuition or whatever, in golf, for all these sorts of things. And sometimes people don't think that you can get tremendous support from a good gillie or a good fishing trainer, and that sort of investment. But that, of course, comes at a later stage when perhaps you're being a bit more successful financially.
Yeah.
For smaller people, younger people, they just got to hang in, get to know as many experts as you can, ask for help, and most adult anglers will help a lot.
Absolutely.
So stick with them, look for help, and you'll get it, and you'll improve from there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think, Betty?
Well, I think on the same kind of lines, but if this parent is willing, or some friend is willing, to get somebody to bring them out fishing, to bring them with them fishing, and not just intense stuff, but showing them the difference and what fish do, how they live, and the ecology of it, just to get them interested. If they can find an adult, I mean, you can get it in a club, all right, but if you can identify one adult that will bring them fishing, it'll make all the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. They can make a connection then with something.
And that's the only way. I mean, if he has a group of people, there's, he's not going to hone in on, maybe would hone in on something,
right?
But he could find one person. It's more important to get one person who will take them fishing.
Yeah, and I suppose for the benefit of our sport and the future of our sport, even as anglers ourselves, if we hear or see of someone that has a young person or something like that, to reach out to them and say, take their time out in there. I know everyone has busy schedules and stuff. Now Ireland's getting back up and running again, but take a time out for a young person or something like that. Because if we don't bring on the next generation,
for sure,
our fishing's going to keep dwindling and dwindling and dwindling.
Yeah, I have to try with them, because sometimes you do your best, and they're delighted and they'll fish for a while. But the technology thing, what they can do with computers now, very soon will take over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you get them into the right mood.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is to catch a fish.
Yeah, that's it.
If they catch a fish, you're certainly
they
almost
could be hooked for life,
there.
like ourselves.
And release it.
And release it, but they will release it. Modern kids will release the fish.
I think so,
But get them to handle the fish as carefully as possible. Show them to keep the fish under the water and all that sort of stuff. They love that better than anything else. Actually, beat the fish rather than anything. They like that best. I don't have the opportunity now, because of course we've only come back to live in Ireland, and the minute we came back there was lockdown.
Right. Yeah, sure. Then So what's next on the plan? The book's not finished yet, so what's next on the plan for you guys? Where's the next? What's in the pipeline?
Maybe the Bahamas. We might make another run, but you just got to be a bit careful still about the travelling.
Of course, absolutely.
Because even when you read clearly what is allowed and whatever, coming to a different country, sometimes when you arrive there a couple of days later, God help them, they got to make a change or something crops in that it might be the best. So you kind of hope that things will settle a bit before we do anything too exciting.
With me, it's going back through the United States. I'm not too happy about travelling. I mean, to go to connect, to go to Michigan to go to wherever we went last time.
Up to Calgary.
Up to Calgary.
I
You have to
still-
change so many times. There's so many
Yeah.
airports. And
Well,
It's a long trip.
Yeah, we had a great. It was a long trip to Calgary, but we had a very excellent.
a wonderful
Guide.
guide.
Yeah,
And that's tremendously important.
That makes
Wonderful.
all the difference, doesn't it? Doing your
Oh.
research and getting a good guide
Good
can make
guide.
or break an entire
Yeah.
trip.
And then
Yeah.
when you go to the bonefish in the Bahamas, sometimes there'll be 4 guides in the lodge, and you have to take whatever guide you get.
Right.
Yeah.
And the big difference on the day you don't get the guide you want, and the day you do get the guide you want,
Yeah.
it's a tremendous difference.
yeah. But a final quick memory of the Bow River fishing. On I think the 3rd day, we fished about 6 days. I think two batches of 3. We took a day in the middle,
Get
Peter.
bad weather in the middle, actually.
But I remember on maybe the 3rd day or maybe the 4th day, you were in the front of the boat, and there was a particular bend. We were going, obviously drifting down, a right-hand bend sweeping around, and what's our guide? The boat was going very fast, and he suddenly started to pull like Billy-O to get into the inside
Little
of the
inlet,
bend.
Right,
with,
yeah,
with
yeah.
a big swirly
Yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah.
And it had cut away the bank, so the bank was very high, but he got in just off the current, and there was just
And he told me,
steady bit.
get the fly in there under that stone. And then he eventually said, he started to row out, the fish was on, and he said, we got the fish into the boat, big wild rainbow,
24-inch rainbow.
Wow.
and we got him into the boat, and he said, every time I bring somebody out, I put them over that fish. He said they hooked them, but that's the first time we've had him in a boat.
Go ahead.
That to me was
There you go. That's a badge of honour, all right.
That
Yeah,
made my
yeah.
trip.
I was in the back of the boat, obviously, because he
Yeah.
was in the middle, and the bank was so high, and Betty was on the front, and I was saying to her, why you don't get your back cast or whatever, and she just nailed the
Just got
cast.
him right on top of the nose of the fish.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And he was under a stone.
And then, of course, the
Those
boatman immediately had to pull out
memories.
and get into the current and sort of work down and get the
It can
fish.
be wild currents,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and
I
it
can
could be
imagine.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
That's amazing, guys. That's amazing. All I can say is absolutely inspirational is the word I would use to describe your experiences and the short little brief insight you have given us to your lifestyle, your life. Absolutely inspirational. So I won't hold you up any longer. I would say thank you very much on behalf of myself and all our viewers for joining us here this evening and just sharing a little bit of your experiences.
Thank
But
you for
I
giving
look
us.
forward.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day that the book comes out and get to read the memoirs.
Thank
Well,
you for giving us the opportunity, Peter.
Yeah,
You're very
and,
welcome.
And your sessions and your time
Yes.
are very
great.
worthwhile and
Thank
much
you very much.
appreciated. We
Glad
really
you-
like them. So
Glad you did.
Well
Thank you
done.
very much. Thank you.
Well done.
There we have it, folks. Betty and Michael Hayes, what a lovely couple. Really enjoyed that chat with Betty and Michael there last autumn. They came down to Thomastown for a few days and they popped in to say hello. Fantastic to meet a couple like that. You know, thanks everyone for the kind comments. But what a couple, you know, what a couple. That's what fly fishing is that's the real essence of fly fishing there for me is that passion, that desire to travel and experience new things and share information and stuff like that. So I hope everyone really enjoyed it. I certainly did. A little something different that we hadn't done before. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Dick. Thanks, Terry. Absolutely, yeah, it was Terry. Definition of a happy couple. But yeah, what a lovely couple, and massive thanks to Michael and Betty for coming on and sharing their experiences. It was only tip of the iceberg, I'd say. I was giving them a bit of banter there, saying that there's definitely a book there somewhere, memoirs of Michael and Betty, definitely there worth reading. So thanks a million, guys. Really appreciate that. Thanks everyone for the comments. Welcome back to the studio here. We're going to do another bit of fly tying. But first we have our first spot prize to give away tonight. I didn't want to say it before I started because if any people might be looking at it, but I had wrote a number on this piece of paper before we started, and the number was 153. Okay, so whoever made the 153rd comment on the stream was going to win a prize. And it, lucky enough, for a while I didn't think it was going to come during that piece, but it did. And Bernard Mannion, you just won yourself a Pescari Wade Forward 3-weight fly line, one of our new fly lines, cracker fly lines, and a Pescari fly sticker. So well done, Bernard. I'll be in touch with you to get your prize out to you. That's there for Bernard. Great stuff, Tom, Robbie Berry. Great to have everyone back on. Don't forget to win the Mount Juliet voucher. All you got to do is share the stream, tag 2 buddies, and we will do that draw on New Year's Eve night at 9 p.m. I will put it up because we're going to give our YouTubers a chance tomorrow to get in there. Some people don't watch the stream live. They either don't have Facebook or they just don't have. They're not going to have an opportunity tonight to watch it. So that will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and you'll have a chance to watch it back, or for our YouTubers to jumping the gun here a bit again, to comment, share, and you'll be in a chance to win that draw. So next fly we're going to tie tonight, folks, is a caddis grub nymph. Now there's going to be an English international on with us shortly, tying another caddis pattern that is very, very clever indeed, and you're not going to miss that one. Dave is also on there, folks. Thanks, JJ Hayes. Question is coming up soon. Dave has a spot prize question for us tonight. Don't miss that one. First correct answer in on the stream wins. We got loads of spot prizes to give out tonight. We got a couple of more flies to tie, as well as this caddis, which is tied on a Marutu CF6 FWBL size 10 curved hook, and we got a 3.5mm tungsten bead in there. I got a little bit of flat lead just in behind the bead to help taper that body back. And I've just got some Kevlar in there securing all that in. You can put a bit of Zappa-Glap or glue in there as well if you really want to make sure that underbody is nice and strong. But giving a good couple of lashings of the Kevlar will secure it in quite well, and that was a nice taper. Also gets a nice bit of extra weight into that fly, as you can see. I've moved that camera slightly out of focus when I was doing that. That should be a bit better there now. Yeah. Thanks, David Lloyd. Great to meet people like Betty. That's the essence of fly fishing for me. Is an awful lot of people say, you could be just into tournament fishing and all that kind of stuff. It's not about that for me. It's a way of life for me. And meeting people like Betty and Michael is just so inspiring. I found them so inspiring. Next thing we're going to add in here is a bit of glow bright number 10. Okay, glow bright number 10, and we're going to tie it in one end, just for the moment. Secured in there one end. Take a little bit of wax, clear wax, and just wax down that glow bright a little bit. I'm not looking for a massive amount. I just want a little bit of glow bright there, or wax, should I say, on that glow bright. Off the bit I didn't, and I'm basically just looping it back over, so I'll be creating a dubbing brush. The reason why I wax it is just kind of wax on one side of it. If I have it doubled up and all that kind of stuff, I won't be able to. Bring your thread down along there and wind that back up the body. I'm putting an extra bit there to make sure I have a nice clean taper on that underbody. I hope everyone's having a good night, enjoying the show. I hope everyone's having a good Christmas. Great to see so many people on with us there, folks. We got a fantastic sedge coming up there now in a little while as well. Going to tell you a cracking little sedge fees there now in a while for the locks. And don't forget, if anybody needs any materials over Christmas or any stock up on it for the new year, for the new season coming, check out pescarifly.com. We're down here in Thomastown, or indeed call in to say hello to us. It's always nice to call in. You might even get snookered into doing a few people have landed in with us this year. We got loads of shows coming. We're going to be here till March, right up until Paddy's weekend. We're going to be here with live shows. We won't be here next Saturday night because it's New Year's Day night, if I'm not mistaken. And I will be actually up with my parents in Wexford, so we won't, because we're doing the live show tonight. We won't actually be here next Wednesday or next Saturday night, so it'll be the first Saturday in January. It'll be the second Saturday, I think, technically, in January when we'll be here. So I'm just putting a small little bit of fox squirrel dyed olive dubbing with a little bit of mix of Dave Donovan's questions up there. Born the 22nd of May 1974, a native of Tipperary, this fly fishing legend has acclaimed himself. Google is now resident. There we go. Who's got the correct answer to that one? Now, so once I've got my little Dave is watching out that one, Dave will let us know who wins it. So once I've got that, thanks Pat. Pat's calling into tomorrow. A little bit of dubbing, as you can see, it's not overly dressed. It's just a little bit teased into it. I spin the dubbing spinner. Give that a good spin. So we're going to have that nice yellow core with just a little bit of that fox squirrel going through. We're going to pick out any of the more longer or the more bulked up areas. Just tease them out a bit so we get a nice even spread on that dubbing brush. Okay, start at the butt, touch and turns the whole way up the body. One thing I love about this particular caddis pattern is that when it gets wet, that yellow comes out through that olive squirrel dubbing like nothing you've seen before. It is absolutely electric. Really good early season caddis in that dark peaty water. You still have that lovely natural olive look to it. Bit of spikiness, but then that yellow glow bright comes out once it's wet and is absolutely stunning. Wind it up. A little bit short, so I'm actually going to add in another bit. And all we do then with our dubbing spinner is unwind. Reopen it, unwind back the way, and allows you just to add in another piece. I'm spinning the right way. I am now. Reopen that dubbing brush, and you can add in another little pinch. Nearly there, and there we one too many. There we go. Perfect. Okay, take another little bit of pinch of this dubbing. Robert Flaherty says Google, never heard of him. Larry Simkis said Google's not working properly. I'm not sure if we get the answer to that question on Google. But Dave will let me know who is the winner if I miss this, folks, because I'm here trying to fly as well. It's hard to keep an eye on all the comments. Going to add in another little bit of our dubbing and just spin it back again. Let's do that last turn and get back to where it was. There we go. And I slipped it off. That's okay. Catch it with the finger. There's only one or two turns I wanted up there near the head. And you can tie that off. Now, a little bit of a brush out there. Let's see what way the camera is picking this up. Always pluck through. And you can kind of get a visual of that yellow coming through. But trust me, once that's wet, it's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Okay, next thing we're going to add is some speckled legs on the back of that. Now, you've got a couple of options here. You can use rubberized legs and stuff like that. And they can be very good. A little bit, you know, they can get a good bit of movement in them and stuff like that. Also, what I like to use is a neck, a grizzle neck. And up here, the very fine tips. We'll take out two of those. The one thing about that grizzle I find is nearly too white. Okay, it's that kind of grizzle legs. And you get a bit off color. I used to have some sometime, but I don't have them anymore. But these little grizzle tips, they just have a little bit more of a natural look about them rather than a piece of rubber that's been barred. So we're going to take two of these small little guys and we're going to just tie them in there. You want them kind of the length of the body is where I kind of like them to be at. Slightly to the side, but on top. If you get what I'm trying to say. Secure them in well. Just like so. Now we're going to make another bit of a dubbing brush there. This time we're going to use the thread. We're just going to split the thread. And we're going to take out a little bit of yellow seal's fur. Not too often I use seal's fur on a nymph, but this particular pattern I do. Split the Kevlar. Winner is James Hope. Graham Lonigan must be eating the turkey, Dave reckons. Congratulations, James. You have won yourself a 3-layered Amardu patch from Pescari Fly. We'll get that off to you in the post. I'm going to actually have to write that down because keep a track of it. So once I got my seals fur in there, Just going to spin that. Well done, James. Indeed, well done to Graham. You know, Graham's been a great supporter of us here on the show and stuff. And we give him a lot of stick and a lot of banter, but he's very sporting. He takes it very well. But fair play to Graham. Thanks a million for everything. And indeed, thanks to everyone for all their support for over the year. We really do appreciate it. Give that a good spin. And wind it in there, the back of that bead. Secured in well. Take a little bit of Spectre number 46. And what I find with the Spectre number, what I find with the seals for is sometimes it can flare out a little bit. It doesn't quite marry back into the body the way I completely like it. So what I do is I put a little bit of Spectre 46 on the back of that. Don't overdub it to the thread. And get it in there as well. And we're going to brush that back over to cloak up that yellow. So we'll still have that lovely yellow effect of the seals fur. But it won't be sticking out too much. Good finish. Good tug in behind the bead. And we brush. Push it all forward over the bead like so. And then just start stroking it back. And now you can see the lovely effect we're starting to get on that nymph. Beautiful thing. When that thing is wet, it will be absolutely stunning. And that yellow shows through. And there's not too much density in that body. Something that I find that can be with bodies that are that well dubbed is there can be too much density into it that it stops it from penetrating, you know, because there's too much dubbing. There's actually not a lot on that because the way we tied it with the dubbing brushes, it's quite sparse. But there's enough to give it the look of that caddis. But yeah, it's not going to inhibit it getting down to where we wanted to go, especially with that bit of lid. Just going to moisten up a little bit there now. You can start seeing it coming through now. Can't really see the yellow coming through, but you can certainly see the nice natural grizzle, those olives and yellows in there, and a bit of darkness up near the black bead. A little bit of long stuff out the back. I would tease that away just a little bit, some of those longer hairs off the some of those longer hairs off of the but a lovely fly, really fantastic, great nymph, really good early season nymph. Tied best in 10s and 12s. Really buggy, super fish catcher, and definitely one I'd be having somewhere up in the cast or in the fly box come the 15th of March or 17th of March here on the River Nore. Really good natural fly, and we'll work through it the entire year. Something for a bit of depth and penetration when it sedges about and stuff, or even olives and stuff like that. Just a real good scruffy nymph that catches fish. So Kieran Sherlock, I'd say more than likely Paul Whelan, I was only talking about the rubber legs, and the one thing about the rubber legs, these are hairline rubber legs. I have Vineyard or the ones there. I find them too white, too unnatural. That's my thing. Like I do use them and they'd be quite good because they do bounce quite a lot. Absolutely, Colin. Thanks, David. Thanks, Alan. But they're too white. They're nearly too unnatural at times. They can work because they have a lot of movement in them. But when I'm tying something that a little bit more natural, those tips of those of the grizzle, there's almost a tin of brown in them as well, and they can be really super lovely and natural and blend into that body quite good. But I do use the rubber legs as well, and you can use the rubber legs and get away with them, folks. Maybe a mix can be a good option at times too. So now we're going to tidy up here for a few seconds. I'm going to leave this in the faithful hands of an English international, a very good friend of ours here on the show. Thanks, John. Robert Flaherty, absolutely. One for the box, Robert. I am going to leave this in the faithful hands of Mr. Terry Phillips, a great friend of us here in Pescari. Always sent some great videos, great man to share his vast experience, international experience. Terry's a top-class river and lake competition angler, fishes for Team England, and he did a caddis for us that something I'd never seen before. And I've seen a fair old bit of stuff, but I hadn't seen anything like this before. So I've been saving it for a couple of months now for the show tonight as well, for something a bit different for people. Terry's also done a little bit of a speak on tippet diameter stuff like that. Really worth watching. Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Jim. So really worth watching. The first part is going to be the tying the fly, and then a little bit later on we're going to add in his tip talk. Don't forget to win the prize, the main prize tonight of that Mount Juliet voucher. You will have to just share the stream and comment. And I'm going to be back to in a few minutes, folks. And I'm going to leave you with just getting the right button here to click. I'm going to leave you with Terry Phillips.
Hi guys, hope you're well. So this is a quick video really just to show you a method that I've come up with for creating absolute bulletproof bodies on flies. Really useful for creating real heavy jig back type flies, caddis patterns that will get down very deep on Euro-nymph type rigs and help take other flies, perhaps smaller, more natural looking patterns, down to the riverbed with them. Really useful if you're fishing incredibly fast water, or if you've got real deep water in front of you and the fish are holding so deep that traditional tungsten patterns can't get down to them. So this is a method that I kind of came up with having come across some lead weight powder basically that carp anglers use. So the carp guys will go to extreme lengths to disguise their lead weights on their rigs from the carp, carp being particularly fussy. So they use different types of powders, different colours, which is basically like a plastic compound that then melts onto their leads, and when it dries or when it cools, it goes absolutely rock hard. And in this case, I'm just using the same compound to cover a jig back. So you can see on the hook in front of me, this is a size 14 Hanek 450 BL with a 3.8mm tungsten bead. All I've done is run a layer of thread down the hook, added a drop of super glue on there, and fixed a jig back, tungsten jig back, the wrong way round basically on the hook. So that's an incredibly heavy pattern that will come out just around about 1 gram in weight, possibly a little bit more, so it gets down really quickly. It's up to you how you kind of attach the jig back onto the hook. It doesn't need to be particularly secure at this point, because what I'm doing now is covering the whole thing with araldite, which makes the body rock solid, so it's going nowhere rather. So if you've got, you can use this, or you can use epoxy resin or UV resin, however you normally attach a jig back onto a hook's absolutely fine. So in this case, as I say, just covering the whole body in araldite. Doesn't look particularly pretty at this stage, but you'll see in a minute when the araldite dries. It dries really close to the jig back, so you can hardly see it. It just leaves a transparent film that's absolutely rock solid all over the jig back, which is really neat. Handy to do these up in batches, so I'm doing a batch of 6 at this point in time, but typically I'll do a batch of 12 or more. As you can see, these are the compounds I've been talking about. So yeah, if your mica powder is not enough for you, then there's plenty more powders for you to play around with. These are the lead weight powders. Loads of different colours available, different textures. As you can see, different tones between the gravelly type textures. So I've just gone for a combination here, which looks like what a case caddis would in the rivers that are near me, but you can just change the colours to suit yourself. So to get this powder to stick, you need to heat the jig back up. So I've just got a pair of hackle pliers there with it over a cooker, and I'm not actually putting the jig back into the flame here. I'm just holding above it just to heat it up gently. And when you put that into the powder itself, you can see it starts to stick to it. Just hold it again above the flame, and it'll start to melt it on there, and you just build up the coating bit by bit. A couple of bits of advice. One, don't use expensive hackle pliers like what I am here. Just grab a pair of old pliers that you've got lying around, so you're not getting a load of powder onto your hackle pliers. Two, if you've got a small paintbrush, that's really handy, just to keep brushing away the powder off the bead so it doesn't get covered in the powder coating. And you don't necessarily need to use a cooker. You can use a lighter. Does the same job really. So you can just see I've just been sprinkling it on bit by bit just to build up the coating until you're happy that the entire body It's been coated in the powder, and as you can see, as it heats up, it goes to a shiny finish. So it melts the plastic type material around the jig back, creates a nice profile, which is really slick. It gets down really quick, as well as it's been a particularly heavy fly. It's nice and slick to break through the water. Once you're happy that you've got the entire jig back coated, just pop it into a cup of cold water, and they're dry, absolutely rock solid, as you can see. And that's could be fished as it is with a couple of flies either side of it. But in this case, I've just added a nice collar on there and a little bit of Tommy fly. It wouldn't be a Piscari fly session without some Tommy fly in there somewhere. But as you can see, you can change the bead colour to create a nice caddis pattern just by using different colour beads, so perhaps a green or white bead at the head, rather than the gold bead. And yeah, the pouch hackle on there gives the nice interpretation of legs. So you can get quite close copy caddis patterns, which are really effective to be used in fishing. So if you have any questions, just ask in the comments, and I'll reply back to them. Cheers, guys. Hi guys, hope you're all well. So this is a quick video just to show you the impact or the difference that leader diameter can make when you're fishing. In this case I'm dry fly fishing, but the same thing applies to nymph fishing. So completely stumbled across this in one way, and that the night before I went out fishing, I'd took the spools off my leader holder. So I've got 6 or 7 different diameters of leader on a holder on my vest, and I filled them with line, and when I'd put them back on, I hadn't realised I'd put them back on in the reverse order. So I was pulling off what I thought was the skinniest tippet on the retainer, and actually turned out to be the thickest, and didn't realise. Time of dry fly on, went fishing, and I was fishing 0.12 here, and I fished it probably for around about 45 minutes or an hour before I changed down to much skinnier diameter leader. And this is just to show you the impact really of fishing thick leader on fish that are a little bit wary. And you can see I've just missed the fish there, fishing 0.12. And then changing down to a much skinnier leader where you get slightly different presentation on your fly, and more positive results from the fish. So on this piece of water we've got fish rising in front of me. I've got 2 fish rising in front of me. I've got a couple of fish rising below me and a couple of fish rising to my left, directly upstream. So all I'm doing is just working away here with my dry fly, and I'm fishing a dry sedge just on its own on quite a long leader. And you can see so far 0.12 leader, I've missed one and I've caught a par. But I know fine well that I'm covering fish at this stage. There's fish moving, for whatever reason they're ignoring the dry fly. They're not even really coming up to have a look to see what it is. At this point in time I haven't really tweaked what's going on. I've degreased my leader to make sure that's not on the surface. My fly was floating quite nicely, was presenting quite naturally and drifting down at the right speed of the river without any drag. So I'll just keep working away, and as I say, I recorded around about an hour's worth of footage, which obviously I'm not going to show you all, don't want to bore you all to death. But this is kind of being compressed, and you'll see I just cut a section out there just to move on to the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes of video. And it's compressed kind of an hour's worth of footage, just to show you that actually there wasn't really a lot of interest here with this leader and fly setup. There's another one there. The other one just came just in kind of swirled under the fly without getting a real positive take from the fish. Now on the River Dee, the water I'm fishing here, it's predominantly grail, and there are some brown trout in there, but it's mainly grail. But I've had the exact same scenario fishing for brown trout with dry flies. So it equally applies to probably most rivers that you might fish. Just throwing in an upstream mend there just to make sure that the dry fly drifts down the river at a natural speed. I think in a moment a fish rises again just below me. There we go. You can see me looking downstream. I'll just cover it with a downstream mend, a downstream parachute cast, just so the fish gets to see the fly first, and then there's no leader impact and no line impact on what the fish is seeing. Ignores it. Just keep working this water in front of me. There's basically a fish rising halfway between myself and the far bank, straight in front of me here, and it's feeding quite regularly. So I should really have had some interest from it by now. So at this point in time, I twigged the fact that my leader's a bit thick. I think I checked my fly and tried to figure out what was going on, and as you can see, degreasing my leader here. So what I've done is basically I've set up much thinner diameter, exact same fly on, size 17 sedge, and I've left this kind of footage running, so almost in real time you'll see the difference that the thinner diameter tippet makes. So everything else was the same, the fly was the same, the leader size was the same. I was degreasing my leader prior to making the leader change, degreasing it now. That was the first time I'd covered the fish that had been rising straight in front of me, and I don't think the presentation was quite right on that one. So I'll just give it another flick straight over it again. There we go, much more positive take. Surface exploded on the water. That one came off, but it just showed straight away that the leader diameter must have made a difference to what the fish was seeing and their confidence level in taking the fly. Try the fish that's rising further upstream from me. First time across it, it's had it straight away. Again, a much more confident take. This one manages to find its way to the net. Just taking care of my leader again, degreasing it. And you should really degrease every 5 or 10 minutes. I usually just have some mud or some degreasing on me rod, just to make things quick. And as soon as you see your leader dragging on the surface, just give it a quick wipe of degreasant, and it'll sink under nicely. There's another positive take straight away. So that just goes to show the difference that leader diameter can make. Certainly did on this day. I changed from 0.12mm diameter down to 0.09, and the results were pretty much instantaneous. Here's just a few more fish that I went on to catch over the next sort of 30 minutes or so. So it's certainly something that's made a difference to me in the past, whether it's been on trout or grayling. So hopefully, guys, that helps you out and puts a few more fish in your net.
And there we go, folks. That's Terry Phillips from Team England on with us there, giving some fantastic tying tips. That's an interesting caddis. I think it's going to be a lot of tying done that way, I think, for next season. Plenty of depth there in that. And into the fly tying, always great to see fly tyers, coming up with something different. We've spoken about Mika powders before here on the show and stuff like that. So super huge thanks to Terry Phillips for sharing his information on the tippets as well and things like that. It's always great to have anglers with his level of expertise on with us here. and willing to share. It's fantastic. So happy Christmas to yourself, Terry, and the family, and I hope you have a great 2022. Thanks very much. So next spot prize, folks. The first person to put up Terry's link to his YouTube channel wins a spot prize. Okay, first person on the live stream here that puts up the link to Terry's YouTube channel wins a spot prize. And don't forget to go on to Terry's YouTube channel there, follow the link. Whoever the first person to put it up wins a nice spot prize, and you can go on there, like Terry's videos, or like his YouTube channel, and then follow him on there. You'll see lots more cool stuff there from Terry. Absolutely, Jim Weather, still thinking outside the box. Love that kind of stuff. Always great to see flight players, innovative flight players thinking outside the box and looking to get that next new level. Absolutely, Robert Flaherty. Great information there from Terry. And we're going to move on to our next fly. Okay, this one is for the lock style, guys. This is a sage pattern. Been holding this one back for a little while for a night like tonight. Something a little bit more. It's just the color combinations of this is fantastic. And not a massive new tie, but something I haven't tied online before. Susan O'Sullivan is there. Susan, is that for Lindsay Simpson? Susan, we're looking for Terry Phillips. Terry Phillips' YouTube. Terry Phillips' link to Terry Phillips' YouTube channel is the one we're looking for. So I'm going to add a bit of Kevlar onto this Kamazan 175 B175 hook here. Dave is on it. Degrease. Maybe it's let me see here now who's got it right. I check the Susan O'Sullivan here, and that is Lindsay Simpson. Susan, sorry about that. So there's a few coming in there now. Lucas Rise. I definitely see Joseph. Joseph has YouTube Terry Phillips up there. And as far as I can see, I will double check after the show, folks. Don't worry about it. But as far as I can see, Joseph, your second name isn't Irish, Joseph. So I can just double check. And that is Terry's. Yep. So as far as I can see, Joseph. But I will double check. And Joseph, you won the Biscari Fly New Nymph line. One of our new Nymph and Fly lines. Fantastic line. Been fishing it for the last 2 seasons before we released it. But Nymph and Fly line on the way to you, Joseph. I will double check that back. It's just that it's hard to see all the comments. But do, folks, hit that subscribe button on Terry's page there. It's a fantastic YouTube channel. He shares loads of great information. Thanks a million again, Terry, for supporting us here. So what I'm going to add in here now is a little bit of wax first. Okay, onto this Kevlar. This is a lovely sedge pattern. Been tying this for the last number of years, and really is a fantastic color combination here. We have a little bit of lime green, blue white, a little bit of lime green, seal's fur going in there. Still got a few more spot prizes to give away. It was great having these old breaks because it gives me a chance to kind of catch up, think, and give me a chance to go down and grab a cold one out of the fridge. There's another spot prize we can give away tonight, folks. Guess what's my tipple for tonight? First person in to guess what my tipple is for tonight for the live show wins another spot prize. And don't forget, you can be in to win full membership to Mount Juliet Estate. I'm going to add a little bit of their fly fishing club by just commenting, sharing the stream. Now we're going to go to dark olive seals fur. Another little bit of, so we just have that little bit of a lime green bush in there. Dark olive seals fur for the main body. No, Jared, not Heineken, Patrick McCarthy. Sometimes it would be. I want the name out of it, James, not Bailey's, Graham. Just take that bit of Dublin up there. Not Corona, not Coors Light, Not Carlsberg, James. No, keep guessing, folks. First person to guess my little tipple tonight. No, not whiskey. Not Buckfast, Graham. No, not Buckfast. Water. Good guess, Aiden. And normally I am on the water, but not tonight. Tonight, now I said I'd have a little because it's Christmas time. I said I'd have a little tipple. Not Bud. Not Guinness. No, not Miller. Come on, folks. It is. I live in Kilkenny. There's a clue. Right? I live in Kilkenny. That's a clue. Gonna choose my body hackle. Nice, long, strong. Smittix, Jerry Morgan. Jerry Morgan. Congratulations, Jerry. Smittix. Jerry, you're going to win a whole pack of Pescari Fly Fritzes that we've just brought out as well recently. You can check them out online, folks. But I want a little drop of Smittix tonight. Smittix, good old Kilkenny brew. Nice drink to have. Nice and mild. Jerry Morgan, that's on the way to you. Well done, Jerry. Let's write that down now. It's Christmas time, folks. Nice to have an old tipple. So I'm going to add in this, I suppose, a medium olive saddle feather here. And we're going to just take that down over that dark olive. I like it nice and long. It's a size 10. Really nice fly for the waves. And it's going to take another half turn. And then we're going to take our gold rib back up over that. And tie it off. So a lot of people have been asked, or over the last couple of weeks of doing shows, stuff like that, you know, people that often come in and you know, send you questions during the week, you know, about paired wings and stuff like that, and different wings. And winging is a pain in the backside, it can be. And it was for me for a long, long time when I was kind of starting out fly tying, and even, you know, when I got a bit busier at it and stuff like that over the years when I was younger. You know, winging flies, to get that proper wing is you know, it can be a bit of a pain in the backside, like, you know. Saul, this is thanks a million, Liam. Saul, this is a sedge. It's a wet sedge here for the Irish locks, mostly fished on wave, pulling style, and has been a real favourite of a few customers of mine over the last number of years. But tying wings, okay. First thing is make sure that you've got a good base there. You know, a good, nice, clean base there to to attach those wings there. You're very welcome, Jerry. I'll get that after during the week. You know, good clean base, a bit of trade, plenty of room to attach those wings in. Okay, so we're using hen pheasant wings dyed Pickwick for these. Okay, these are a pair of hen pheasant wings I've dyed myself. Okay, they're secondaries and they're both off opposite wings. Of course, you know, most people know that, but we're gonna keep it as simple as possible. So they're from opposite wings, a left and a right. And they're both from the same position of the wing. So not one, you know, they're both, as we work our way through those secondaries, they work, we you know, we keep both the feathers same. So they're both identical off the opposite wings to keep the molting pretty much as best we can on either side. Okay, so either side of the fly you look at, the molting is be close as possible as you can. Okay, on the internal, you got two sides to this feather. This outer side, we do not use. Okay, the natural curvature of that feather is in the wrong direction. You don't use it. You're using this inner side, okay, which has a natural curve in onto itself. So the exterior curves into the interior. Okay, so when we put them both together, they'll marry together, they'll come tight together, and they'll sit very straight and support each other. Okay, first thing you do is strip down all the unnecessary stuff that might be on the bottom of that feather. So I come up quite a bit to where they're going to marry them back, give them a couple of strokes, make sure they're nice. If they don't come together properly, some of those feathers might be just a little damage or something, until you get a nice clean, as you can see there. And we're going to start from there. No worry, Dennis, thanks a million for watching. Dennis Goulden there's heading off, he's got to work tomorrow. On the opposite side, we do the same. We stroke them all up along. If there's any damaged fibres there, we start there and we pull them out. Roughly around the same position as the other one. That one's not great. Okay, so preparation of feathers, we've spoke about that before in fly tying. Let me strip off a bit of the other one now to make them the same. Preparation of feathers is vitally important. Okay, so what we got now is two nice clean sides, as you can see, where they're both going to start, and those feathers will come in lovely together when we go tie them in. Taking your nice sharp scissors, holding the piece you want to keep. Don't worry about the rest of it. So I've got the piece that I want to keep in my fingers, and I cut in there about 1/4 of an inch. lay it down on the table beside you. A little bit less maybe. And the same on the opposite side. Making sure they're both the same size and cut. If they're not, you can use a needle. Once you place them together, side by side. Place the tips together. Can be a little bit tedious to get them right, but you've got to spend time and get this right. Okay? Place those two tips together. Line up the backs. Making sure they're both the length, correct length. And there you can see we have a nice feather. When we turn it on a side, both sides are pressing in against each other, and they keep that wing nice and flat. Okay? Now, of course, the quality of the hen pheasant you're using, or any particular material, will determine if the wing is going to work for you or not. Okay? So always make sure you're looking for decent winging material. Okay? Approach the fly with the desired length. I like the tip of the wing to be roughly back around, depending on the length of my hackle, a little bit or beyond that hackle. So once I'm happy it's in the correct position, switch over to the other finger and hand. Now, my thread is actually in the wrong position. My thread is to the front of the base, where it should be to the back of the base. Okay? Placing that in there, into position, switch the hands over. Up in between your finger and thumb, pinch, go around the wing and the hook at the same time and pull directly up. Okay? Repeat the process again. Go around, pinch, and pull directly up. And then you get a lovely wing sitting in. Directly in on top, as skinny as you like, exactly in the right position. Okay? Now, for every turn of thread I work from here on in, nothing goes above the first turn of thread. So if I'm starting to work, I'll trim all that up a bit. I'm actually going to do it. It just slipped out. The second turn didn't. If it doesn't work for you, you can do exactly what I'm doing right now. If it's not 100%, every turn of thread from there on will be directly below that wing. Yep. Will be directly below that wing. Okay, so we got it sitting up on top now. Perfect. It will manipulate itself back down there in a second. We can trim away that bit of waste. And securing those loose ends. Making enough room to finish our fly. And we will not fold over. If you pinch, pull up and pull down, that wing will roll over on its side. Okay? Now we're going to add in a little bit of partridge here. So this is dyed Pickwick partridge as well. Just stripping back the down. Love the colour combinations of this fly. Beautiful sage. Tying it in there right up tight to that first turn that you put on that wing. So we don't disturb it, but at the same time we keep it all nice and tight. And you're not going to believe it. I forgot the hackle pliers. Someone was on to me today and said, whatever you do, don't forget something. I forgot the hackle pliers. Absolutely, Kieran. Keep them all about it. So what I'm going to use here now is I'm going to be a little bit creative, and I'm going to use a tweezers, because I'm not going to leave the table to run down and get hackle pliers. I'm going to catch my tweezers and see if this works. Probably won't, but it just might make it. We have to make it work. Sometimes we just got to make things happen. So I'm going to give that partridge a turn and a half, 2 turns almost. Yeah, there we have it. Just catch it back in there to tip. Catching the core is key work on partridge. There always has to be something. That's the one thing about doing live shows. There is always something. I can't believe I forgot my hackle pliers. Yeah, I'm going to get this now for you folks, because I really want to finish this fly. So I'm going to give it 1 turn. Just being a little bit innovative here. And then I'm going to try and give it a little bit of a secondary turn here. There we go. We managed to get it all in. Hey. Okay. If I was on the whiskey or the buckfast now, that wouldn't have been too successful. Stroke all them back. Just clear a little bit of room for the head. And start building that head up from the eye back up towards the the body or the wing. And you see where we're getting now is a lovely cloaking of that. And our wing is still in position. Our wing hasn't moved a bit. Still sitting up there, lovely and proud, exactly where we want it. I did, Robbie. I did want to go and get it. Absolutely, Alan. Yeah. Very good. I did want to go and get it, but I'm a kind of a stubborn kind of guy when I say something like that and think, oh, I could have to go and get it out. I'll just stick at it, like, you know. Robert, I don't. I have a few there. I have a few, Robert, bits and pieces, and I do a bit of dying for people now and again, but I don't overdo it. But I can, if you're looking for something, Robert, give me a shout, and I'll certainly help you out, as we always do here in the Scary Fly. We try to help everyone out. Absolutely, Alan. Yeah, mine too. Pulling something like that, I tell you, on a dark day when there's sedges about, you'll get it. You'll get attention. So I just put a little bit of black marker there on my Kevlar. And I'm going to finish that in. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Neil. Don't forget, you can win the flies, folks, and all our YouTubers tomorrow. You can win these flies along with free membership to Mount Juliet Estate. It's fishing club, worth a couple of £100. Fabulous stretch of river for the entire year by just commenting on the YouTube channel or sharing the stream. Whatever. There's lots of people in tonight. So we'll do that draw Christmas Eve night at 9 o'clock. Thanks, Colin. Absolutely. Always good to have a good rescue. That could have been a bit of a bummer end to that toy. But definitely fabulous toy. A little bit of varnish on there. Thanks, Thomas. Tom Ankertel is on there. From Butterbury in County Cork. A little bit of varnish onto the head of that. And it is lovely colour combinations on that one. That Pickwick hen pheasant is absolutely dope of a colour. With a little bit of that lime green butt. A little bit of Pickwick partridge over the top. Makes it very attractive. Thanks, Billy. Makes it very attractive. And that's it. What time are we now? 20 past 10. And that's it, folks. Thanks, Bernard. Thanks, Betty. Huge thanks to everybody who came on the show tonight and gave us one for the box. You know what? Robert Flaherty, that's the second name. That's no saying of mine is kind of, lads, this is one for the box. One for the box. I seen your comment earlier on, and Gianluca is normally fast to the button on that one and says one for the box is a no saying of mine. That's definitely one for the box, folks. Robert, you've won yourself a magnetic rod holder. Right, magnetic rod holder. I'll get that off to you during the week. I'll jot that down. But that's it, folks. Draw on Christmas Eve night. No, sorry, Neil. Niall, I do have 10 millions going here at one time between computers and flies and all that. New Year's Eve night, Niall. Sorry, New Year's Eve night, 9 o'clock. The draw will be made for the prize of tonight's flies along with that Mount Juliet voucher. Okay. Very big happy new year to everybody. Thank you everybody so much for all your support throughout 2021. We really do appreciate it here in our little business. It's www.scaryfly.com if anybody needs any materials or just wants to give us a shout, have questions. Please feel free to give us a bell, call in anytime. We're always delighted to have people on to come in and give us a shout. Hope you enjoyed tonight. I certainly did. I always love coming on. Missed last Saturday night. We won't be here next Saturday night, which is only 3 days away. 3 or 4 days away, whatever it is. I'm losing track of days at this stage. We'll be back on in January for a full steam ahead right into the trout season. Got some great shows lined up. Sea trout shows, salmon shows, pike shows, bass shows. Lots of great shows lined up coming up in the new year for everybody to keep us going through those Saturday nights right into the start of the trout season, which is St. Patrick's Day. I hope everyone has a great 2022, or at least a great start to 2022 till I see you all. Stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. And good night. Get the right button here now to press. And we'll see you all really soon. Thanks, everyone, for watching.